This word and this part of the Quran has such importance. The pious predecessors have stated that the whole of the success of the akhirah, the hereafter, is based on this statement of Allah. What is that? Wattaqullah. Ittaqullah. This is such an emotion after bringing about Iman that is extremely important for a mu'min, for a person who has Iman. What we should understand here is that after Iman, the most important factor and element that is required by a person who has Iman for success in the hereafter, for success at the time of death, for success in the grave, for success on the day of Hashr, on the plain of Hashr, to the extent, to the last point, the fear of their employer, of boss. And this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, that the mu'min who doesn't have my fear in his or her heart, who doesn't have my khawf, then Allah ta'ala says that that person will waste his Iman, or her Iman. Their belief will be wasted. And the next action, as we discussed after bringing about Iman, the most important action which will be weighed and understood, and Allah will look and analyze, is the righteous deeds. A'malu salihat. That, for example, Allah has given us work to do, just like the employer gives the employee work to do. So just like if our employee doesn't work, if there's no cameras, closed circuit TV, etc. Now Allah Ta'ala hasn't put up cameras in the world. Allah says, this is my camera, the Quran, the Ahadith. O people of Iman, you are in the dunya, you will waste your khawf, you will waste the time in the dunya, and the deen will, and the fear of Allah will come at your hearts, and your life will become a waste. But be clear about one thing. Wattaqullah, Allah says. Allah Ta'ala says, don't waste your khawf, rather maintain your khawf, strengthen your khawf, and you have to keep on working hard during your life to bring about that khawf in Allah. Say subhanallah, subhanallah. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu ittaqullah. Allah says that you have to bring this khawf back into yourself, otherwise you will lose out. You need to bring this before death. You have to maintain your khawf, Allah says. You have to attain khawf. You have to instill khawf of Allah into your hearts. And to bring the khawf into your heart, the methodology is tazkiyah. Tazkiyah. The pious predecessors have said that in this verse Allah Ta'ala has said about tazkiyah, mentioned tazkiyah regularly. And it's fard. To instill khawf, fear into our hearts is fard on every moment, on every man, child and woman and jahil. Every one of us, it's fard, compulsory for us to instill khawf of Allah into our heart. And this is a big achievement in itself. Subhanallah. So now tazkiyah, cleanliness, purification. Those Hazrat who do tazkiyah, Allah Ta'ala has given a message further after this. Allah Ta'ala says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu ittaqullah. We cannot do tazkiyah on our own. What is tazkiyah? That to instill the fear of Allah into our hearts. And the tariqah, the methodology, I won't go into that detail because my topic is different. So when a person follows the method and the principles Allah Ta'ala has given to us to bring the khawf of Allah into the heart, so that's a subject in itself. But once the khawf comes, and this is especially for the salikeen, the travelers and students like myself, that what do we need to do? The Quran tells us, then Allah says you will have to do something, and definitely do that. Definitely do the action. Otherwise, you will go off track. Number one, Allah Ta'ala says that this path of tazkiyah, we need to embark on this path of tazkiyah. Say subhanallah. Subhanallah, good for them. And after embarking on the path of tazkiyah, Allah says, then remember you have to do another action. What is that action? Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu ittaqullah wal tanzur nafsun, Allah Ta'ala says. Subhanallah. That alongside this, then Allah says that don't think that I'm free now and I have got no leash that's controlling me. Allah Ta'ala is not watching me and I'm totally fine. Allah says takabbur will come. Pride will come. Oh, I do dhikr of Allah and I'm bayah with this shaykh and I've done 4 years and I've spent 15 years, and then these emotions come. Allah says this will not give success. No. This is not khawf here. But if you have got khawf and you've brought about khawf in your heart, or you need to bring about khawf in your heart, then you need to do a certain action. Allah Ta'ala says then you have to do this, and every individual has to do this action. What is that action? That do self-assessment, regular. Subhanallah. Honestly, you have to delve into yourself and you have to ask honestly, you have to ask yourself. And as do a self-assessment, you have to judge yourself, you have to look at yourself. You have to keep on looking at yourself. That am I correct or am I not? Say subhanallah. Subhanallah. that you have to look at yourself and ask yourself a question. Assess yourself, am I progressing correctly? The khawf first, that when a person realizes that when the khawf of Allah comes into the heart, then his feeling becomes such, he doesn't need to ask him, am I right, am I wrong, am I good or bad? Himself, his heart will say, Nasiha gave me a lesson for life. So this happens sometimes, that a person, he may not be famous, but a person, he may give guidance to a very good person, a great person. So if we start trying to wait for the greatest Sheikh to come, a scholar, then we'll say, oh, I'll wait and I'll become bayah to Imam Mahdi alayhi salam or other people. Those people have this objective, their objective is not Islam. Allah Ta'ala says, whichever individual Sheikh, if you sit in his company and you are obtaining guidance, you're getting closer to Allah, and you're getting my dhikr, Allah says, and you are hearing those words from that individual that are taking you close to me, then how dare you leave his hand, his guidance? This is nasiha. This is nasiha. This is nasiha. He's become your guide, and